Well, my name is Lou Antonelli. I live in Clarksville, Red River County, where I own a local newspaper. My wife and I own a local newspaper, and I was having a meet and greet at the Magic Scoop today. The congressional district I'm running in goes all the way from Collin County to Texarkana, and Sulphur Springs is actually pretty much in the middle of it. So I thought this would be a good place to start for this kind of event. I'm running for the open seat. John Ratcliffe was appointed the Director of National Security, so there's no current congressman. I'm running as a Libertarian candidate. I'm a third-party candidate. I'd like to bring some fresh blood into the political system. I'm a self-employed small businessman, and I'm not a career politician. If elected, I'm even going to commit to just serve one term to fill in for the time being. Probably transition to another congressman later, but if you're familiar with the Libertarian Party, you can look up their platform online very easily. We are very much in favor of limited government. With limited government comes lower taxation, cutting back on all the infringements of personal liberties that the government seems to impose. What's the old saying? Government is like your mother-in-law. It's a great policeman, but a terrible problem solver. And I think we need more of this attitude of cutting back with government interference in people's personal lives and areas that are not the business of the government or anyone else. And Texans are independent and like to be left alone. A lot of times that's the reason our ancestors came to Texas, to be free and independent and to be left to their own devices. I think the Libertarian Party stands for that. There's a lot of that in the Republican Party too. Like I said, the Republican Party has its own nominee, and so I'm running to work the democratic process and help contribute to the discourse. And if anybody has any questions, I'm easy to find. Like I said, I own a newspaper in Clarksville, the Clarksville Times, and you're welcome to contact me anytime.
So being a journalist, you're fairly familiar with the political process.
Yes. In some cases, I'm embarrassed that I know more about the political process than some politicians. Usually because journalists get updated constantly about changes in laws, and sometimes I find politicians don't realize the laws have changed, and they're behind the curve. People do get hidebound into doing the same thing over and over again, and sometimes, every week for me is like a new beginning, because I have to come up with a new issue of the paper. So I think not getting set in your ways and thinking of innovative ways to solve problems. Like I said, government isn't good at problem solving, but individuals are. And if you come up with good ideas, hopefully you seek office and help the public and help the nation by trying to apply those solutions.
Do you have any idea how many libertarians are in Congress now?
Oh, there's none. There's none. Libertarians have one elected office at the state level. There have been people elected as libertarians in state legislatures, and as would be appropriate considering it's still a frontier. Alaska's had the best record with libertarians. But as a third party, it's difficult to get elected. Over the years, there have been people who bounced back and forth between the libertarians and other parties. Because Ron Paul was a congressman for many, many years in Texas, and he was a Republican, but when he ran for president, he was a libertarian. And there's a lot of overlap. It's kind of like there's a lot of overlap between the Green Party and the Democrat Party, too. But if you go back and you listen to Ronald Reagan's speeches, Reagan oftentimes, sounded like libertarians. One thing he said, which was, as Reagan would do, was pretty funny in addition to being true. He said the difference between a drunken sailor and government is the drunken sailor spends his own money. So Reagan had a strong libertarian streak in him. But over the years, bureaucracy tends to grow, regulations tend to accumulate, and people become complacent. Maybe 2020 is a year because of the intercession of COVID to shake people up and make them think about the world around them and maybe pay a little more attention to what's going on.
Is there anything you just want to say? This is your opportunity.
Well, you got to be honest with yourself, and the chances of a third-party candidate and my winning are small. But I appreciate all the votes that could be cast, because it'll make a statement. You get a good number of votes, a number of thousands of votes, and it'll make people realize, well, maybe this was a candidate who had something to say. And one of the most common things third-party candidates have contributed to American politics in our history has been getting their ideas stolen. third parties will come up with the idea, they don't win, but then one of the major parties picks it up. And so maybe I'll come up with some ideas and it'll be stolen by Democrats or Republicans. Running for office is never a waste of time. If you meet people, increase public awareness, increase discourse, and get fresh ideas out there. Winning should not be the only goal. If you're willing to do anything and that's the only thing you're interested in, that's the kind of politics that's messed the country up to this point.